Sometimes you need to take control to make a difference. That's why with FlexPath from Capella University, you're in control. Set your own deadlines and leverage your experience to move at a pace that works for you. Discover a different way forward at capella.edu.
You made it. Here. Finally. Checked out of office to check into the sweet views of that place you've always wanted to go. You know the one. It's nice. Even the kids like it.
This place is so cool.
And they never like it.
Mom, can we go to the pool?
Look at that. Not even asking for the Wi-Fi. When you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
Settling is not an option for me. Everything I desire is already mine. What if you can have it all? Because every day is for the girls.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of For the Girls. I'm your host, Victoria Alario, and today's interview is intense. I interviewed my good friend, Grace Marlow, about her journey with 75 Hard. She has completed the program in its entirety between 75 Hard plus the 3 phases of Live Hard already. She's done all that, and she's now beginning 75 Hard again and going through the whole process again. And we get into a whole discussion about this scam that is 75 Soft. And this episode is truly, there's no sugarcoating. So if you are doing 75 Soft, you're probably going to be offended by this episode. But I really encourage you to listen. I really ask you to understand, because I also think that a lot of people don't understand the business and creation that is 75 Hard. I don't think that people truly understand the concept, the meaning, the vision, the purpose, everything behind 75 Hard. So I think when people came across this TikTok fad of 75 Soft, they just kind of jumped on the bandwagon. We are talking about how 75 Soft is a complete infringement on Andy Frizella's 75 Hard business. We discuss how and why 75 Soft is a complete slap in the face to those completing 75 Hard. All different types of people, all different ages, all different lifestyles, whether they are mothers or nurses, or you're going to hear it all. There are thousands of people completing 75 Hard as we speak. And this whole new fad of 75 Soft is just completely discrediting those people by saying silly things like, this is for the people who don't have the time to do this and that. This is for the people who can't do. And it's just a whole scam. It's a whole scam. People took a concept, a pre-existing successful business and concept, and like I said, made an infringement on that business and just took it in a completely wrong direction that it should never, ever, ever have gone in. So the beginning portion of my interview with Grace is her explaining everything that you guys need to know about what 75 Hard is, what the Live Hard program and phases are, and how many times she's done it in her journey. So she takes a bit of time explaining everything that you guys need to know so that she can fully educate you on what this program is. And then a little bit into that interview, after she explains all that, is where we really discuss the 75 Soft thing. So I really want you guys to listen to this with open minds and open ears. And like I said, no sugarcoating. There's nothing soft about this interview. But, I want you guys to just really be educated from someone who is a veteran at this point on doing 75 Hard and hear her perspective. And the way that she just sheds light on this whole thing is so important. I'm so proud of her for how much that she has improved her life and her mindset and everything. I've known Grace for years, and she is just such a different person now than she was 2 years ago and prior. So really listen to this. You've been warned that it's definitely not for the faint of heart, but I'm excited for you guys to hear what she has to say. Girls, I have something to share, so let's take a minute. If you are ready to live in your highest potential, I have such a gift for you. If you are ready to awaken your purpose and discover the ultimate key to happiness, the Soul Star membership hosted by Janet Namaste awaits you. If you have listened to my podcast interviews with Janet, including an episode called Trauma, What It Is, How to Identify It, and How to Overcome It, and an episode called Jealousy is the Root of All Evil, then you know what a gift it is to learn from Janet. I have been personally working with her for almost 4 years, and it has changed my life. The Soul Star membership was created to support you in moving from surviving to thriving, so you can awaken all your hidden talents and share it with the world. Plus, awaken your Soul Star and live according to your divine plan. Each month, you will learn your unique style of communication, your love language, and awaken the healer within according to your soul's blueprint, so you can navigate each month with grace, support, courage, and empowerment. You will get a healing each month and an angelic transmission directly for you and your loved ones, plus a monthly guidebook and journal to document your progress and what you've learned. And guess what? Janet will be there live alongside you, covering thousands of topics, including manifesting destiny, letting go, inner child connection, numerology, regression, hypnosis, awakening consciousness, healing ancestral karma, and so much more. Whether you are just starting in your spiritual journey or have already begun for years, this membership will enhance your ability to live a soul-led life. There is no better time to start than now. For more information, there is so much you can read directly on the site. To join the membership, you can pay for this monthly or you can pay annually and get 3 months free. And of course, this community has a discount. So for more info and the pricing, head to janetnamaste.com/forthegirls, and you're going to check out with the code FTG10 to save. Now, on some browsers, you may need to add www. before you put the URL. So that's janetnamaste.com/forthegirls. JANETNAMASTE.com/forthegirls, and insert the code capital F, capital T, capital G, number 1, and number 10. I am truly so excited for you all, and girls, this is going to be the greatest investment you've ever made into yourself. Okay, everybody, welcome today's guest, Grace Marlow, one of my good friends who I met a few years ago through working together online, and I'm obsessed with everything that she has to say about 75 Hard. We did speak a little briefly about it, but I'm just really excited to get into this whole topic. So Grace, introduce yourself. Tell us all about who you are.
Okay, so my name's Grace, obviously. I am a 31-year-old who works full-time as a nursing assistant in one of the busiest emergency departments in the Northeast. And I have started my journey, or my second journey now, on 75 Hard. And I'm excited to tell you guys a little bit more about the program and kind of a lot of the controversy around the whole 75 soft.
Yeah. All right. Let's back up first. Tell me exactly what 75 Hard is. Like, give me the whole rundown on it for those listening who might not have ever heard of Andy Frisella, 75 Hard. Give me the whole spiel.
Okay, so 75 Hard was created by an entrepreneur named Andy Frisella. He has multiple podcasts. He owns First Form, which a lot of people recognize from the fitness industry. And he is just one of those guys who's a badass. I first heard about 75 Hard about 4 years ago now, when I was listening to his podcast at the time, and he was talking about this mindset challenge. Now, what this mindset challenge actually is a complete 75 days of putting yourself and immersing yourself into one of the hardest challenges you can do. So what separates this program and what is so amazing about this program, in my opinion, is really there's no one to hold you accountable except yourself. So a lot of people, will initially hear these rules I'm going to tell you and say, there's no way I can do it. So let's get started. The first thing is you have to follow a diet. So this is pretty basic. It can be any diet you want. So if you follow paleo, if you're vegan, if you want to do keto, whether it's tracking macros, he has a few things that you have to, incorporate into this, but you can pick whatever diet you want. So for me, I chose Whole30. It's something I had done before, but the thing is, there's no cheat days. With so many diets nowadays, you have options of a Sunday off or, a night out. We don't do that here. It's 75 days straight, no variations. So 75 days for me is no alcohol. The program is no matter what diet you choose, no alcohol. And the only other thing that is important is if you are choosing to do, paleo or keto or whatever it may be, it doesn't mean you're incorporating treats like keto cookies or, snacks that accommodate your diet. If you're doing macros, that doesn't mean you're fitting mac and cheese into your diet. It means you're committing to 75 days of a diet that is going to better your lifestyle. Number 2 is a gallon of water a day. This seems outrageous to people. I have one of those big jugs off Amazon and I walk around with it and it's 128 ounces of water and it looks outrageous, but it's what your body actually needs. And so often I think people aren't consuming enough water and they wonder why their skin doesn't look good or, they're tired or their energy isn't there. And a huge component to this, obviously having the health background is drinking more water. It truly changes the game for you. And, I've read before people speculating and talking about how, oh, there's no way I'm too small to drink a gallon of water, or I'm too small. Like, that's not a real thing. Your body needs it and your body will adapt to it. The biggest thing, obviously, for me is, working long shifts is I don't always get to pee when I need to pee. So, training the bladder takes time, but it's something that you can obviously, incorporate. Number 3 is a small task, but definitely an important one. And that is one progress photo every single day. This means every single morning I wake up, I take a photo, I use the same bathing suit. People who do the program, will do it in their workout clothes. It's really what you feel comfortable. It doesn't mean you have to be like fully exposed or nude by any means, but you want to be able to see your body, because what happens when you start this program and what your body goes through in the 75 days is truly amazing. And sometimes the scale doesn't show that. So having that visual to say, okay, this is where I was on day 1 and this is where I am now. Yeah, I maybe only lost a few pounds on the scale, but look at how much more definition, or look at how much leaner I am. So that's also an important thing, because if you miss any of these tasks, then you automatically fail, which I'll talk about. But he talks about how this one picture, so often people fail on this one task because it's almost so easy that you forget about it. And it's a reminder that the small things are just as important as the big things. The 4th thing is 2 workouts a day, and one of them has to be outside. So this is 2 45-minute workouts. It can be any workout of your choice, and that includes walking. So, it's not realistic to do 75 days of 2 high intensity workouts. You physically would either injure yourself or burn yourself out. So incorporating different things into your fitness routine. And this is why this program truly is for everybody, because there's people who have been morbidly obese, who've never worked out a day in their life, who show up and they do 2 45-minute workouts a day. And eventually they gain strength and are able to, build their stamina and, increase their, abilities to do everything. So that's really important. And the last thing is 10 pages of a self-development or a mindset book. So this isn't reading, 50 Shades of Grey. This is reading a book that's going to benefit you mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever it may be. There's tons you can choose from. A lot of it just comes down to really putting 10 minutes, 10 pages, figure 10 minutes, if that, aside, depending on obviously your level of reading, but to grow your mind. It can't be an audiobook. People always ask, well, like, can't you just listen to something while you're doing your workout? Like, no, there's no easy way around this. There's no shortcuts. There's no variations. What it is what it is. And if you're not willing to commit to those rules, then don't do the program. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about here with like the other variations that have kind of popped up in the time since. But that's the logistics of the program, those 5 rules.
Okay. So to recap, it is the diet of your choice. No other way around it. You're sticking to a diet. Absolutely no alcohol whatsoever. Working out 2 times a day. One has to be or can be outside or has to be.
Has to be outside.
So one inside, one outside. Okay. And they're both 45 minutes long. Then the progress picture every single day for 75 days, gallon of water every single day, of course, and the 10 pages of reading a personal development or self-help type of book. So it's I know it's like 5 because you incorporated the alcohol and diet in one, but it's kind of like 6, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And now the whole concept around it that he created it for is literally to become like to better your whole entire life. So it's really to like kickstart like a whole new version of you pretty much, right? Like that's like where I know you read his book, I know that you listen to his podcast, but that was like where he was going with this, right?
So what he describes it as is a complete mindset shift. It has to be something that you're committing to 100%. And it's also so often nowadays, we sugarcoat everything. If you don't finish something or you fail something or you don't, you say you're going to do something and you don't, no one holds you accountable. And there's no it's just all bullshit, honestly, because what this is if you say you're going to do it, you're going to do it. And I told myself I'm not going to drink for a month, or I told myself I'm going to eat well during the week. And like all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's like Friday night comes around and you're ordering a pizza and you're drinking a glass of wine and like you're not sticking to your own word. So what this program has taught me more than anything is if you say you're going to do something, you can do it. And a lot of times people ask me about like, okay, well, who's going to know if you don't complete it? You're going to know. That's what changes this. And that's what happens is you get to the point where you want to show up for you. You want to do it because you know how good it's going to feel. And I completed the program the first time, and it was single-handedly the best feeling I've ever felt. It was better than graduating college. It was better than all of the other things. It was better than getting my first job because it was something that I promised myself. And I didn't do it for anyone else's gratification or, acknowledgement. I did it because I knew that it was something I wanted to better myself. And that's what I did. So when you accomplish a goal and then that you set out for yourself and you don't have anyone kind of holding your hand along the way, or, you're not doing it for your mom or somebody else, you're doing it to better you, it makes a huge difference. And I think a lot of times adults don't do that anymore. After you graduate college, you kind of just like go with the flow. You do, you get your job, you go to work, you do things for your boss, like you're not doing it for you. And this is something that is 100% dedicated to you, for you.
I mean, I love all of that because it's pure discipline. It's pure self-accountability. It's no motivational bullshit. Oh, I feel good today. Let me do this today. Like it's purely, self-discipline and all that. And I think that's so amazing. So I guess I want to know, you said you came across it for the first time 4 years ago, but then the first time you actually did it was 2 years ago, right? Like, why did you start it? And why did you start it when you started it? Like, was it so you wanted to lose weight, or was it truly just a mind thing? Like, what was your final decision of like, no, I'm going to do this?
So for me, I had heard about it. I listened to the podcast and I was one of those people who said, there's no way I could ever do that. I'm a busy person. I constantly have things going on. And I never thought I could commit to 75 days of, no drinking, of, doing the 2 workouts, all of this stuff. So I basically told myself I couldn't do it before I even tried. So fast forward to, July of 2020, it's in the midst of COVID. I'm working in the emergency room. I'm not able to see my family. I'm not in a good place in my relationship. I leave my boyfriend at the time. And basically I needed something. And it was something that was always on my mind to do, but it wasn't until I got to a point where I mentally was, I was overweight. I had lost like a part of who I wanted to be. And I really didn't have anything like worth fighting for at that point. I really felt like the lowest I'd ever felt in my life. And I thought to myself, you know what? Like, why am I waiting around anymore? So again, I still hesitated. I still waited. I said, okay, well, it's the middle of summer. Let me wait till summer's over. And I was like, September 1st, that's a great day to start. So basically September 1st comes around, and the few days leading up, I binged. I ate everything I wanted. I went out and drank. I partied. I was like, okay. In my head at that point, the hardest thing for me was going to be the no drinking. And that's so crazy to me now. And I'll talk about that in a second. But, I decided, okay, let's do it. And for me, a lot of people don't, talk about doing the program. I have friends who've done this program who've never once posted about it. But for me, I blasted it. I talked about it on my social media constantly. I talked about what the rules were, why I was doing it, all this stuff. And everybody would say, well, why would you do that? Because what happens when you fail? And I would say, I'm not going to fail. What it comes down to is, for me, holding myself accountable meant posting about it so that people watched me do it and people saw how the program worked. And it's an amazing feeling, obviously, now, because I've had quite a few friends and people who I've connected with through social media or just in person who've then gone on to do the program for themselves because they watched me do it. But you get to a point where I was, mentally just not in a good space. I didn't feel confident in myself. I, didn't do it for the weight loss, but of course that was on my mind. But as I developed into the program and as the program progresses, I truly just became happier in everything I did. No matter what it was. I did end up losing about 40 pounds from the program the initial time.
Did you say also 40? 40?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But what I will say is that a lot of that was COVID weight. A lot of it was just, not like when you don't feel good mentally, you don't feel good physically. So for me, that was obviously an added benefit, but this program is not meant to be a weight loss substitute by any means. It is not meant to, be the reason why you drop 20 pounds. This program will literally change your mindset, your confidence, your mental state, everything about your life in 75 days, which I would like to add. People always are like, oh, that's a long time. 75 days is 2.5 months, guys. Think about the last 2.5 months. What do you have to show for that? And if you can't think of anything you've done substantial in the last 2.5 months, then maybe you need something like this, because this is a kickstart that will literally set you off.
Yeah. When you hear 75 days, it sounds like half of the year. And then when you look at it on a calendar, it would literally be as if you started on April 1st. You would literally have April, May, and then into the middle of, June. And that would be that. So that's, it's actually crazy to think about that. It's really not that long. In hindsight. And I do remember the very first time that you did it, I think, what were you wearing? Like a red bikini?
A red bikini. Yes.
Yeah. Red bikini. I remember you posting your, I know you didn't post all 75 photos. Obviously, I think you posted maybe your very first and your last, you posted it. And it was just such a huge thing. And I just remember everybody talking about you completing 75 hard, because I do think you were probably one of the first that I and we in our community knew of actually starting and finishing it all the way through. And it's just, it's such a commendable thing, especially for you, because I don't want to get too much into this yet. We're going to get into this in a minute, but especially for a nurse who literally was working on the front lines, during COVID and all that kind of stuff, because you were going through so much mentally that I would say you almost had a disadvantage, than most, because most people during COVID were home. Most people during COVID were working from home, doing everything from home, living on lockdown. Sure, you could drink at home, but realistically, the partying aspect of life was taken away. So like the desire to drink was, I think, may have been heightened for some people who were like very depressed during COVID and, just home and bored. But otherwise, if you're like a young person who only really drinks when they're out with friends, like your desire to drink is probably much lower. So you were someone who had a very unique situation because you were the complete opposite of everybody else during COVID. You were literally working more than everybody else. And you still, I know you work 13-hour shifts and you're on your feet all day long. Like, and again, we'll talk about this in a second, but like, shit, I mean, it's just something that so many people use these things as their excuse not to. And you took this as your reason, and you're like, no, 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 I'm built for this. I'm stronger than this. I'm going to do this. And so tell us exactly how many times you've done it, because I know there's different phases. If you could explain the phases. And I know, like you said, the first time you did it was 2020. So now how many times since then, and how many phases have you completed?
Okay, so how the program works is it's 75 days. And then once he created 75 Hard, Andy Frisella then added an additional component essentially. And that is what's called the Live Hard program. He talks about this in his podcast, but it's essentially an additional 3 phases that kind of add on to 75 Hard. It's not done consecutively, but how it breaks down is once you complete 75 Hard, you could go right into the phase 1, or you can wait. It's completely up to you. I ended up waiting. So I finished 75 Hard on November 14th of 2020. I started phase 1 on January 2nd of 2021. Phase 1 is just a 30-day challenge. So all 3 phases are 30 days, which is nice, but essentially the whole program has to be completed within 1 year of starting 75 Hard, which meant I had to complete 75 Hard plus all 3 phases by August 31st of 2021, because I'd started the program on September 1st of 2020. So you have to kind of map it out. And it is a lot of, you have to think ahead, essentially. You can't just sort of wing it. But what phase 1 was it actually is all the same tasks you start with, but then you add a 5-minute cold shower, which by no means is an easy thing. But for me, I would do it before bed. I would blast Linkin Park. I would put my timer on, and I would literally just dance in the shower. And I don't mean like a cold shower, guys. Like, I mean a fucking cold shower. Like, I'm talking literally barely on, cold. And all you could, what your body really adapts to is obviously you eventually go numb. And what it comes down to is it is all your mindset. And yes, there are a ton of health benefits to the cold shower, which you can obviously look up. But the biggest thing is I would say, the hardest mental thing. Knowing that, you basically just have to get through 5 minutes. But there's people in this world, all I would tell myself was there's literally children in this world who have never taken a hot shower in their whole life. And I'm bitching about a 5-minute cold shower. Like, I would take the cold shower, I would get in, I would, emerge myself. And then when I was done, I would turn the heat on and I would take a normal shower. So it wasn't like, I was getting out freezing and I had a chill to the bone. Like, it was what it was. So that was the additional task. Another additional task was 10 minutes of visualization. So what he basically means is this is 10 minutes of a meditation where you literally imagine what you want your life to be, manifest it, think about it, see yourself in that dream house, see yourself doing this. I would use the Daily Calm app to kind of help guide me. Basically, there's different things that, you can listen to, but 10 minutes basically committed to listening to this, to really just visualizing what you want. And I would do this right after my cold shower. So it also gave me time to kind of decompress and think about my day. I would use it as my final step and finisher, which is important. So now we go on to phase 2. Phase 1 and phase 2 have to be at least 30 days apart, which means you have to take your own break. So you can't get in the momentum. If you'd gone in right into phase 1 from 75 Hard, doesn't mean you can now go roll right into phase 2. You have to wait 30 days. Now, this doesn't mean you can't still do your tasks. A lot of people continue this program just with their lifestyle, but it doesn't count towards the program by any means. So you take phase 2. I started mine on April 1st. I waited, 2.5 months in between. And this just goes back to basics. This is just the original 75 Hard 5 tasks, or 6 tasks, including the no alcohol. So this is, kind of just like, it seems almost too easy, because now you're like, oh, wow, like I don't have to do a cold shower. This is great. And then the phase 3 is the last 30 days leading up to your 1-year mark. So again, you have to take a break. You have to do it the 30 days leading up. So no matter when you started, the 30 days leading up. So for me, it was April 2nd to April 31st. And this is where it kind of gets a little bit
August, right? You mean?
Yeah. Sorry. August 2nd. Sorry, August 2nd to August 31st, because I had started 75 Hard on September 1st. So this is the phase that I think I changed the most. And what it did was you had to do, again, the initial tasks. The initial tasks are always there, guys. But you added 1 act of kindness every day, which meant one thing every single day that you view as an act of kindness. Now, when I first heard this, I thought, okay, that's kind of weird. And it didn't mean, just donating money to things. What I did was I made a genuine effort to think of some things that I wanted to do and just to better myself as a person. So at the time, obviously the middle of summer, August, it's hot out where I live and I'm in Connecticut. I went to the dollar store. I spent $50 and I got a bunch of toiletry items. I put together toiletry bags. I kept a small cooler in my back seat with ice waters every single day. And every day while I was driving to and from work, I often passed homeless people and I would offer them, a cold water, or I would offer them toiletries. And that for me was something I could do and I didn't have to plan ahead. I made donations to organizations or fundraisers of friends that had, meaningful causes. It goes on and on. It literally, one day my act of kindness was calling my aunt that I don't normally talk to on the phone and just call to check in on her to see how she's doing, had a simple conversation. The next thing is a little bit different, but you have to basically create 3 additional tasks. So now we're just adding things to the list, 3 additional tasks, and you pick whatever they are, but they have to be completed in that day. So it's not like, okay, I want to lose 5 pounds, because you're not going to do that in one day. It could be essentially just like habit forming. So mine was to take my multivitamins and my, medications every single day, because I was terrible at taking my vitamins and I wanted to do better and be better at that for my wellness. Another one was make my bed every morning. I know it sounds stupid, but it's a little task that you can complete every day and check off your list. It didn't have to be the same the whole 30 days. It would change, from time to time. Sometimes it was to do 5 pull-ups. Or like to spend 5 minutes on, my online business, put aside this, so every morning I would wake up and I'd make my list. It obviously varied every day, but it had to be 3 tasks that you added. So now the list gets longer and longer. And the last thing that you had to do was have a conversation with a stranger. This is a weird one. And a lot of people, when they get to phase 3, when I've talked to people who have, gone into that, they think that is the hardest part. And that's the scariest part, talking to a stranger, which is sad. But again, this was at a point in time. At this point now, I'm in August of 2021. COVID's still around, obviously, but people are walking around in masks. No one really wants to go up to strangers by any means. So for me, like I mentioned, I work in the emergency room. I'm a nursing assistant. I talk to strangers every single day. So obviously that's not a terrible task for me. But what is the big thing that Andy talks about is it's not just stopping and saying hello to somebody. This has to be a meaningful conversation. It has to be a conversation where if someone was to go up to this person in an hour after, would they remember having spoken to you? Would they have remembered what you guys talked about? And so for me, a lot of it was just making the time to actually just speak and talk to people. We're so caught up in this world where we go with emotion. You go into a store, you go to the cashier, you say you say thank you. Are you asking how their day is? Have you asked them how they're feeling, what they're doing, whatever it may be? No. So it was me taking the effort. Obviously, days I was at work were easier because I would go into patients' rooms and I would sit down and I would literally ask them questions about their lives. I would ask them what they did for work, how long have they been married? If there was a spouse at the bedside, I would actually generate a conversation with them. And, it was nice and it made you feel good. Whether they actually remember down the road your conversation, it's for you. And days I wasn't working, if I had to, I would go to CVS or I'd go to Walgreens and I would literally stop someone in the aisle and have a conversation with them. I would go to Stop and Shop and I would have a conversation with the lady at checkout. Oh, how long have you worked here? What do you do outside of work? Are you from Hamden? Are you from this? Just having a conversation. And yeah, sometimes it felt forced, but in the end, it made me more conscious of my surroundings and made me more aware of having conversations and actually not just going with the flow all the time. So that's the logistics of it all, of the program, of Live Hard, of 75 Hard. Now, fast forward, I completed the whole program and now we're in 2022 and the holidays came. So I finished the program September 1st of 2021, essentially. And then, the holidays come, you fall back into, I told myself essentially I would never go back to the place I was. And mentally I'm not, but I started eating badly again. I got occupied. I got COVID, work picked up, work was busy. I'm working all these hours. And I finally said to myself, it's the end of January 2022 at this point. And I'm like, I had that moment where I was like, what am I doing? I have nothing to show for the last 30 days. And it's the beginning of the year. This is when you're supposed to be doing these resolutions. This is when you're supposed to be doing all these things. So doing 75 hard again popped into my mind. And, I thought to myself, should I do it again? Yeah, why not? So I decided on, I decided on March 21st. It was a random Monday. I'm a person who needs to start on a Monday. My birthday was in the beginning of March. So yeah, I still had that idea in my mind that I didn't want to give up, drinking or eating cake on my birthday. But I said, I'm going to do it again. So a lot of my friends and people have asked why I'm doing the program again. And for me, the biggest thing is that the mental change that I have felt and my confidence is still here, but it's almost something that you can't explain unless you do it. It's the most satisfying feeling in the world when you complete this program, and doing it again and almost challenging myself to be better than I was the first time. For me, it's a mental challenge. So, it was great. I finished the program. I did the whole thing, that's all well and good. But now I want to do it again and actually implement it into my life forever. So sometimes now that I know what to expect, taking a step back and actually, incorporating things that are going to be long-term is something that, I want to try to do this time and maintain more.
For international money transfers at your fingertips, choose Western Union, the fast and reliable way to send money to loved ones. Plus, new customers can enjoy a $0 transfer fee until October 31st when sending money online. Visit westernunion.com or download their app to get started today. Services offered by Western Union Financial Services, Inc., NMLS 906983, or Western Union International Services, LLC, NMLS 906985. Terms apply. FX gains apply.
So what day are you on now? Because you started when?
March 21st. I'm on day 18.
Okay, so you completed 75 hard and live hard. So you started 75 hard, correct me if I'm wrong, on September 1st, 2020. Fast forward, then you did the 30-day the 3 different phases of the 30-day program throughout 2021, completing that by August 31st, pretty much around September 1st of 2021. And then you, from the end of 2021 into the beginning of 2022, this year, you were done with that. And now this March that just passed is your second year of beginning it. So now by the time that you finish 75 hard, then for the rest of the year, you're going to have to implement the live hard phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then you will be completed with this year's program by March of 2023, correct?
Correct. But the thing about this is you don't have to do the live hard program. There's tons of people who do 75 hard and that's it. They don't go on to do the additional phases. And there's also a lot of people who will just continue to do 75 hard. They take a few months off and they do 75 hard again. It really is whatever you want it to be. Everybody gets something out of it different. And that's what's so amazing about it. It's not like a universal, shift. So for me, I wanted to take that next step to do the additional phases because it was continuing the challenge. And so everybody kind of does it differently. I have yet to decide if I'm going to do the additional phases. Who knows? We'll see how this, round goes. But, I'm excited either way. I think the program has a ton of benefits and has really, changed the person I am from within.
Right. And especially knowing that you started it right around the time of a breakup after a long relationship. So, you went through a whole life shift and just you're literally a different person. But now that we got all of that down, let's hurt some feelings. All right. Let's talk about the 75 soft, because I know we had a brief discussion on it, but I wanted to table the talk for here. I wanted to get real into it. We got to get into this deeper. So you are a 75 hard accomplished veteran at this point. So for you, as a person who is busy, works in the emergency room. Is that right? Yeah. You work in the emergency room. You run an online business. You have a whole entire life. What are your thoughts on 75 Soft? How does it make you feel when you see these people on TikTok verbatim? The actual audio says, "This is for people." Guys, she's cracking her neck right now as we speak. She's literally, I'm watching her crack her neck. She's ready to go in one vertebrae at a time. But the verbatim, the audio says, "This is for the people who don't have the time to do 2 workouts a day." That makes my skin absolutely crawl, knowing that you do it. But you know what pisses me off the most about it? In the audio says, "This is for the people who don't have time to do 2 workouts a day." But then they proceed to change all the rules anyway. It's not like they say, "But you have to stick to the diet. You have to do no alcohol. You have to read 10 pages." Like, they change all the rules anyway. They say, "Eat as good as you want. Eat well." That's what he says. You got to eat well. He says, "Limit your drinking to social occasions," which anyone can decide anything is an occasion. Oh, it's my friend's birthday. Oh, it's a work retreat. Oh, it's this. Like, drink on occasions. They're basically saying don't drink on a Monday. That's basically what they're saying. They say do 1 workout. Like, they change all the rules. So God, it just drives me insane when I see it. And I haven't even done it. Granted, I mean, I've chosen not to do it, but that's a choice. I'm not saying, "Oh, I don't want to do it. Let me half do it," So how does it make you feel? I know you think it's such a slap in the face to you and everyone who's completed the program.
So the fact that this 75 Soft is even affiliated with 75 Hard literally fucking makes me tweak. So what it comes down to is, first of all, everybody in this world has the same 24 hours in the day. So if there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands at this point, of people who've completed this program, then why do you have that mindset that you can't do it also? I wake up at 4:30 in the fucking morning. I do a 45-minute workout. And now, may I add, I don't know if I mentioned this, the 2 45-minute workouts, they can't be combined. So it doesn't mean you can go do an hour and a half workout. And it also, he says, should be about at least 3 hours apart from each other. Meaning, it doesn't mean you're waking up doing both 45-minute workouts in the morning. You need at least 3 hours in between. So let's break this down. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I go to the gym. I do a workout, 45 minutes. I go home, I get dressed for work, I go to work from 7 to 7:30. I get out of work, I do a 45-minute workout. Now, usually this is my outdoor workout because, depending on my gym class, it's either spin or boot camp or boxing, normally or inside. So now we go into my outdoor workout. My outdoor workout now, meanwhile, today, perfect example, 40 degrees, gusting winds, pouring rain. I thankfully did my workout this morning. But if I hadn't, I would be walking outside right now in the pouring rain. So time is not an excuse. I think it's actually sad that people say, and, people comment the TikTok and say, "Oh yeah, like I'm a nurse. I can't do that. My shifts are too long." Yeah, you fucking can. You're choosing not to. The diet thing, oh, just eat well. Okay, fine. You know what? We'll let that one go. The drinking on social occasions, that's bullshit. Drinking on social occasions, like you said, that's what you choose. I went on girls' weekends. I went on weekends away. I went on to birthday parties. I went out to clubs and I didn't drink because I was on this program. Alcohol is not the end all be all. If you're committed to this program, then you will go 75 days without it. And it's that simple. What it comes down to is your mindset. And I think a lot of times, I don't truly understand why people even created the 75 Soft. Just no one's forcing you to do it. So just find another, call it something else. Say you're eating well. Say you're being more mindful of your intake of fucking sugar, whatever it may be. Don't associate it because it's a slap in the face for people. And a lot of the times, the people who even start to do 75 hard, I would give you 100 times more credit if you say, "I'm doing 75 hard, but I failed on day 16, or I failed on day 50 because I was exhausted after work and I couldn't get my second workout in, or I fell asleep before I did my reading." I would give you 800% more credit, more acknowledgement, more respect because you said, "I failed." Half of the battle is people, and half of the situation is there's no one to hold you accountable. So no one's going to know if you're doing the program truthfully. The only people that are going to know are the other people who've actually done the program, because any person I've talked to who's completed this program, they are a different person. They are more confident. You know. And why are you selling yourself short? You're cheating yourself. You're not doing anyone. No one cares. And the whole 75 soft thing and the TikTok thing, it's just another trend that, is going around, obviously. But for the people who have shown up and committed to this program and actually done the fucking work, it's a slap in the face, because you're basically promoting something and, and making it seem like it's impossible, rather than encouraging people to step up and actually do the work to do it. For me, it's, you're never going to force somebody or make someone or convince somebody to do it. But the most rewarding thing, like I said before, was when I've had other people show up and say, hey, like, you inspired me to do the program and I did it. And not only did you do it, but you did it with your full effort and you gave it your all. And so even, one of my coworkers did the program. She was, going along. On day 55, she failed. And then she came into work and she said, Grace, I failed. And I was like, oh my God. I said, but I'm so proud of you. I said, like, what happened? She goes, she'd gotten a puppy. It was, her second workout after a long shift in the hospital. And she was just mentally exhausted. She's like, I couldn't get up and do another workout. I physically had to go do an outdoor workout and I could not do it. And that happens. But you know what? The best part is she's doing it again right now. And she's doing it the same as me. And, it's great. Like she could, she failed, but she realized that this program had a lot to offer and she gave it another shot. And like, not everybody finishes it on their first time with, straight through without failing. It's actually probably, I don't know the percentage, obviously, but it's much more common for people to try it and fail than to complete it fully. It's a huge commitment. I have another friend who said she keeps failing because she can't not drink. And that just means that she's not at that place yet to do this program. And that's okay. Eventually she'll get to that point, just like I did, where she knew she needed it and she did it for her, not because of other people. So, the whole 75 soft thing, it's actually mind blowing to me in the worst way possible.
You made me laugh when you said, if it comes up on my For You page, I click the not interested button.
Oh yeah. So on TikTok, for all of those of you who do not know, you can kind of, obviously for some, it's an algorithm of a sense. So things come up as you become more interested, or if you like a video. So I obviously like and follow a lot of people on TikTok for 75 Hard, people who I've, come across or I've met through the community of doing the program and having completed it. Now, with that, TikTok for some reason thinks I want to hear about 75 soft. So they start throwing people in with that audio of the 75 soft. And honestly, reading the comments are so cringeworthy. It blows my mind. It's like people want it to be like a fad, and it's not a fad. Like, it's not meant to be a fad. It's not meant to be like a yo-yo quick and easy fix. It's meant to change your fucking life. So if you're not willing to, then just don't do it, but don't half-ass it either, because all of those people who show up and actually commit to the program are basically just laughing at you at this point. And it also, I think, takes away the importance of the actual program, because people think that they can just beat around the bush, and that's just not how life is. I mean, that's just not reality.
And what I know, you said Andy Frisella, the creator of 75 Hard, he spoke on it, or he said something about it?
Yeah. So he basically, he's a very vocal person. He talks a lot about, there's a lot of political things. There's just a lot about America in general. And whether, you agree with him or don't, I don't say that all of my, my things align with his necessarily, but that's also what kind of makes it so great. This program is just for those who want to fucking work. And so he basically, when this whole 75 soft thing came out, talked about how he basically was going to just go off social media altogether, because he was so fed up with the people basically, he invented this, he created this. So it's basically just an infringement on his idea. But not only that, he went on to create a Facebook group essentially that you had to answer questions to get into. So you had to have actually listened to the podcast. You had to have actually, you have to list out some of the rules, whatever, and then you get approved into the Facebook group. Now there's, 100,000 people in this group at this point, and I don't know who's approving all of these people, because some people definitely slipped on through. So, there's people that ask questions. And now sometimes people, their answers aren't always as friendly, but they're definitely how Andy would answer it. And you have to, be mindful of that. It's not drinking a gallon of water with lemon and, the Mio water to make it taste good, like fruit punch. It's drinking a gallon of straight water. It's not drinking, tea, whatever. It's not doing an hour and a half workout instead of 2 45-minute workouts. So basically this group is, a way for people who've actually, answer the questions to do the program and to kind of ask and compare, the thoughts. But Andy basically created this group initially to kind of wean out the people who are half-assing it and who are, thinking that they're just gonna like whistle their way through with the 75 soft.
I think it's really important too how you made that note. Like, you're not putting fucking cucumber, mint, and lemon in your water. It is a Poland Spring gallon of straight water.
Oh, 100% New Haven's finest tap water is what I'm consuming.
So many people think that they have to make these excuses and they have to, oh, here's why I can't do it. And it's like, but you can also just say you're not willing to. Like, you can also just admit that you are not, this challenge is not for you. And when I see the 75 soft thing as a human being who is choosing not to do 75 hard, I'm like, are you guys kidding me? Like, I would be embarrassed to be like, telling someone, oh, I'm doing 75 soft. It's the loser's version of 75 hard. Like, how do you tell people that? Like you said, like, why can't you just name it something else? Like, okay, so Andy Frisella has 75 hard. Say this guy on TikTok said, you know what? That challenge is not for me. I want to start a fad. Let's call this, blah, blah, blah. They name it something else. It does not have to be 75 days. So you don't have to call it 75. It does not have to be the soft version of the hard. It could be your own hard challenge that has nothing to do with 75 hard. And I think that is the slap in the face, because say for example, that kid had who I keep saying kid and boy and guy because it's a guy, the voiceover. So, oh, look, she's drinking her. Can I see how much water you have in there left? Oh, you're almost done. And it's 6 o'clock. That's 1 gallon, that thing?
Yeah, I'm at 9 o'clock.
So it is 6:10 as we are speaking. And Grace is at 9 p.m. on her gallon water bottle that has like the hour time slots. Anyway, sorry.
Sorry, not to interrupt you. Once you do this program once, you realize you track you make sure you get your water in, because otherwise you're up all night peeing. So it's, you pick your battles. Either you want a good night's sleep, you get your water done by 8 o'clock. Point blank.
Say that this kid who does the TikTok audio decided to create a challenge. I would never look at it as something lame. Like, I would never look at it as like, oh, look at these kids trying to do this challenge. Nothing like 75 hard. I wouldn't even think about 75 hard. It wouldn't like correlate. It'd be like, oh, this is so nice. These kids are doing however many days of eating consciously, lessening their alcohol intake, working out once a day, every single day for this period of time. Like, that would be a great challenge for anyone who's starting from, again, zero, from nothing. It's still something, right? It's still something. So the fact of the matter is to discredit the people who do 75 hard. Like you said, there's 100,000 people in the group. I don't know if 100,000 people have successfully completed 75 hard, but I'm sure a percentage of those people in the Facebook group have. So, you don't have to discredit how many people have successfully completed 75 hard by saying, well, I can't, so here's what we're doing instead for like,
exactly.
I said, for the freaking loser committee. Like, I'm sorry, I know it's not nice, but like, honestly, that's what you guys look like, the loser committee. Like, it's not cool. And so, yeah, with all that being said though, I want to back up for a second, because I actually wanted to ask you this before, and I thought about it just now. How many nurses or people with, a regular job lifestyle do you know that have done 75 hard? Because I know you say some people, a lot of people who have not posted on social media, people who have messaged you that you inspired them. Like, can you think right now, like, oh, I know at least 10 nurses who do this. I know at least, 5 people who work in the corporate world. Like,
I would say I probably have about 5 people who work within the hospital that I know personally who have completed the program, and they did the same thing I did. They worked out before work and they worked out after work. Now, I will say this, honestly, yes, It's absolutely hard to fit in with a 13-hour workday. But to me, I give more credit to the moms out there and the people who do this program with a job, like whether it be a 9 to 5, and they have children. So there's people in this group who literally post that they wake up before their kid gets up, they do their first workout, they wait till their second to do their second workout while the kid's at school, or even sometimes having to do it afterwards. Like those moms out there and those dads who are able to do this program, like this program literally, I saw like a 75-year-old post that they completed this program. And now remember, also another big, reason people would possibly say they couldn't do it is their climate, wherever they live. There's people who do this. Andy Frisella is from Minnesota, literally the coldest place ever, or Missouri, one of the two. Either way, the point is, it's sometimes negative 30 degrees there, and people are outside doing their workout. When I did phase 1, it was January in fucking Connecticut. It was snowing, it was sleeting, it was cold, it was 10 degrees, there was a negative wind chill, whatever it was, it still meant I was getting up to do my outdoor workout. So like the whole excuse thing, and I think a lot of times just like, everybody else fits it in. All these people show up to do it, so why can't you, essentially, you know what I mean? Like it's the program really, there's people who are 500 pounds. There's people who don't need to lose any weight at all, but are doing it for their mindset, for that shift. There's people who have kids. There's people who are married. Sometimes people in the group talk about like how their significant other feels like they're not giving them enough attention or time during this phase because they have so much going on with 75 hard. And like, I totally get that. But also, if this is something that's going to better you and better like how you feel about yourself, then your partner should definitely be supporting that. And, your family and your loved ones, should also be pushing for that. Like I said, I had friends who were like, well, why are you doing this again? Like what, like blah, blah, blah. And all I had to say was because I felt the best about myself mentally and physically when I did the program. And once you say that to somebody who actually cares about you, that's all they need to hear. And that's all that really matters.
Just out of curiosity, have you heard of anyone who did not feel good about themselves completing it? Like, were they like, this is way too draining, this is way too exhausting, like it's taking a toll on my mental health, like because it is a huge commitment. So is there anyone who's been like, this is way too overwhelming for me?
Yes. So I haven't had anybody who's actually finished the program go on to say that, but I've had people who stopped the program because of that. So the two big reasons were it was mentally draining, meaning it was just too much to take on with their life. And the second thing was that it was triggering to them. So sometimes people with past history of eating disorders or who've had other issues with, addiction, I've had multiple people who I know who have had a past of either, an addiction or disorder. And then they try to do this program and it's too triggering for them. And they've stopped because of that, which I completely respect and totally understand, because it is basically something that takes over your life. And sometimes being so conscious of your food intake or being so aware of those things is not always good for people who have, that sort of the way their brain works. That's a trigger for them. So those are the only instances I've ever had people stop the program because it was too much for them or they weren't able to kind of continue because of that.
Yeah. So for the most part, the people who have actually done all 75, as far as what are like, in a much better place. And it's typically the people who actually quit, which is totally fine. The people who quit the program that do go on to say, this is a lot for me, my mental health, I can't. And I think that that's very fair and very valid. And I think a lot of people don't start it at all because of their mental health or because of their triggers. And again, while that's all valid to have these things, you really won't know until you do it. And I give so much credit and I truly commend the people who do struggle with their mental health in that way and to that extent. And with the people who have eating disorders and triggers that gave it a chance and at least tried it, even if it was for 1 week. I mean, that's still, they were willing to take on the mindset shift and the mindset challenge that this was all meant to be. This is not meant to be, like you said, a weight loss program. They were willing to better themselves. And even though it wasn't the right fit for them, they at least were up for the challenge. And I give those people way more credit than the people who do 75 soft because they're not even willing to give the challenge,
Exactly. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think that what this conversation proves is you either do it or you don't. That's it. There's no alternative. There's no variation. There's no way around it. You either do 75 hard or you do not do 75 hard. And that's that.
No, exactly. There's, what it comes down to is he talks about it. You can go to his website, 75hard.com. You can Google him. You could follow him on Instagram. You could buy his book. You can go on his listeners podcast. It's episode 14. It talks about 75 hard, whatever you choose to do. But what it comes down to is it's no variation, no days off, 75 days straight of these tasks. And if you fall asleep before you do your reading or you forget to take your progress picture, then it's a fail and you start back at day one. You can start the next day. You don't have to take time off and you can keep going. But what it is it's either it's a failure, and that's not always a bad thing. I feel like our society is so like all we do, like no matter what place you come in school, everybody gets an award. Like no one works for anything anymore because everything's just like handed to them. And if you want something bad enough, then you have to just go do it. And for me, I wanted it bad enough, so I went and did it. And did I want to prove something to somebody or to myself or to other people? Of course. But what it came down to was I never once in the 75 days or the time leading up to starting this program, the first time even, said to myself, I'm going to fail or I'm not going to do this. I never gave that, put that into my mind. I never once said it. When people were like, well, what happens if you fail? I'm not going to fail. I don't know what will happen. It's simple. So, touching on the whole 75 soft thing, to each their own, just know that everybody's laughing at you and you look foolish. And that's all I have to really say about it.
I think that the Andy Frisella came out of us at that. And yeah, I mean, honestly, like you just like, it's, oh God, please, we could keep going and we'll talk about that in private in our own voice notes, because honestly, I mean, come on, but it's silly. And at least that I give you credit for doing.
I appreciate it.
And I'm honestly so proud of you for doing it again.
Everybody is capable of this program, no matter your age, no matter your current weight, no matter what you do for work, no matter how many kids you have, no matter whatever it is, everybody, like I said, has the same 24 hours in the day. And you just have to be willing to put the work in. If anyone's interested, obviously, in hearing more about the program or wants to see how my journey kind of develops, feel free to follow me on Instagram. And, it is at Grace___Marlow, Marlow.
Perfect. So that's Grace___Marlow. Thanks, guys. Next week, we are going to have an episode off as I will be in Vegas this week. So as soon as I get back from Vegas, I have another fun episode coming out. So see you next time, girls.
What's the big deal?
Where can you get pizza, bread twists, specialty chicken, and more for just $5.99 each?
Is it at Domino's?
He hands off hand-tossed pizza and a marble cookie brownie. He's going! There's a lot of variety on the radio and at Domino's too, where you can
mix and match 2 or more for $5.99 each at Domino's.
2-item minimum. Pan pizza, bone-in wings, and bread bowls will be extra. Ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary.
For international money transfers at your fingertips, choose Western Union, the fast and reliable way to send money to loved ones. Plus, new customers can enjoy a $0 transfer fee until October 31st when sending money online. Visit westernunion.com or download their app to get started today. Services offered by Western Union Financial Services, Inc., NMLS 906983, or Western Union International Services, LLC, NMLS 906985. Terms apply. FX gain supply.